Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I like to turn one style of arrangement into another style so that you can see how versatile flowers can be. So if you want to see how I can turn this arrangement into something completely different, then keep watching. So welcome back to another tutorial. Now we've looked already at this beautiful tortoiseshell container. Tortoiseshell effect container, maybe I should say. When I arranged in it before, I did quite a tall, very elegant style arrangement that I felt worked really well in this vase. But what I'm going to do today, just to show you how versatile flowers and containers can be, I'm going to remake it in an asymmetrical sort of style, shorter on one side, cascading, and a little bit longer on the opposite side. But I'm going to use exactly the same flower choice, so no added extras, nothing that you didn't see in the previous video. And I'm going to start by creating the shorter side of my arrangement, and I'm going to use these gorgeous Fatsia. Now these have come from my own garden. They are available commercially and you will easily be able to buy them at a florist shop, and they grow quite successfully in any type of garden soil. They're not particularly fussy, but mine are a very pale, wishy-washy type of green, and I think they're probably lacking in a particular type of nutrient. And I'm thinking that if I fed them with the correct nutrients, they would probably look a much nicer colour. But they go quite well with the colour combination that I'm using today, and I've taken inspiration from the orange sort of red shades of my container. And that's normally a fairly good place to start. If you're not sure about what colours to use, look at the container, the colours or the textures or the style of that container, and that might help you select your flower combination. Now to start that asymmetrical balance, so to make the design longer on one side, I'm going to use the top section of the Cypress Papyrus. If I just hold one of these up. So this is a beautiful material that generally grows in bogland or in ponds, and these longer thin sections would normally be on the top of the reed itself. So what I did in the previous video was I removed them off the top because they were a little bit messy and a bit untidy for the design that I wanted to create. And this time I'm going to use them to create the longer side of my arrangement. So keeping them fairly long, in proportion with my container, we're just going to cascade a few of those out to one side. If you haven't got anything like this, then you could buy bear grass from your local florist. You might have pampas grass in the garden. What you need to be careful of with pampas grass is that it can be very sharp, and you need to be careful that you don't cut your fingers with it. So, nice long section. I'm not quite sure whether it's best to work on it from this angle. We'll slide it over slightly. So lovely long pieces, counterbalancing the heavier weight of the Fatsia. This is a little foliage plant. Again, it will grow quite successfully in the garden. You can have it variegated as well. And that's called Fatshedera. So it's the cross between Fatsia and the common ivy plant. So a really good one for arranging at home with. Something that I would suggest you invest in. I'm just going to group them together and bring a little bit of that colour to the top section as well. So I'm creating blocks and groupings of colours, but quite successfully covered my floral foam. Now if you remember, if you've watched that video, then you'll know that I also had something called Physocarpus diablo. It's a gorgeous red colour foliage. It's another one from my garden, and you know, if you're really enjoying floral design, then investing in a couple of shrubs for your garden is really beneficial, because you'll have a much bigger choice to use within your arrangements, and of course you're going to save yourself a little bit of money as well. That's going to help extend the colour over onto one side, and with the shorter pieces that I had from that previous arrangement, I'm just going to draw that colour through onto the one side so that the design is asymmetrically balanced, so it's much longer on one side. The colour, the darker colour, which is quite dominant, is brought through on both sides of the arrangement. And then just with two small pieces, I'm going to tuck them quite close to the base of the foam. I'm just going to remove this top piece because it's a little high, but I can pop it in closer to the foam. It's going to help cover my foam and bring that lovely colour all the way through to the base. And now I've got a little bit of an outline shape created, I can start to add my flowers. And cascading onto the longer side, I'm going to reuse the softer dahlias. So this is a gorgeous red dahlia, and this is going to work really well on the outside edge because it's a softer, more dainty flower, and the smaller flowers generally work better on the outside than they do really close to the centre. And you might notice that I'm currently working with a knife. More often than not, when I'm doing YouTube videos, I work with the scissors because I'm teaching beginners. If I'm working here as a florist, I'm working on weddings or ordinary sort of studio orders, then I often work with a knife because you can work much faster. But as many of these videos are aimed at beginners, I tend to generally use the scissors because it's something that you're far more familiar with. So what I've done, very similar to the dark foliage, I've brought the colour of the dahlia through from the longer side right the way through the middle, so that that colour is being brought through on both sides, and I've just spin that round for you to see. So lovely long section, that asymmetrical part, and that lovely colour link is running through the middle. Now the lilies are quite large and quite open, so what I'm going to do with these is use them towards the centre of the arrangement. If I take them to the outside edge and I take them right to the edge of the arrangement, my eye is going to be drawn outwards. It's going to be really quite dominating on this side, whereas I want the main focus of my arrangements to be in the focal area or in the centre of my design. So I'm just going to pop that in the middle here, and I'm going to bring one towards the back so we get a bit of colour drawn towards the back, and then with the final flower it's going to sit really close to the front section, and it's going to help cover my foam and bring that emphasis on that dominant section there in the middle. Now I'm obviously arranging with exactly the same flowers as I had in the previous arrangement, just to show you how you can recreate different styles of arrangements for different occasions or different positions within the house. And just to strengthen this section here, because the middle part where those orange lilies are is now really visually quite heavy, I'm going to introduce the little seed head of the papyrus, and hopefully it will make this section a little bit visually heavier, so that the orange lilies there in the centre don't look quite so dominant, and we're making a bit more of an emphasis towards the outside edge. A little bit there towards the front, and we'll bring a few pieces towards the middle and the back, so that colour is drawn all the way over to one side. And I think that might be my final piece. Now I'm just thinking that this flower head here is a little too long, so I'm going to cut it slightly shorter and get it a bit closer to the foam, especially this more open head. So we're going to put them in two positions. I just feel that it's making this side of the arrangement a bit too long and not in proportion with the opposite side. So a little bit of jiggery pokery when we get that into the right position, and now I'm a lot more happy. So design number 2 with the same flowers, same container and the same size piece of floral foam, just to show you how many different styles of arrangements you can do of the same flowers. So I hope you've enjoyed that one. Thank you as ever for joining me time after time. I am very grateful that you want to come back and watch new videos. Please subscribe to the channel, share the videos with your friends and family, let everybody know that they can learn to do gorgeous floral designs here on the YouTube channel. As ever, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.